Well, struggling and fumbling for anything to get his campaign back on track, failed former President Donald Trump announced a major press conference yesterday at his Florida home, Mar-a-Lago. And it ended up being a press conference at which he rambled incoherently, seemed visibly disoriented, and at one point appeared to shoot a tonsil stone out of his mouth, which we will get to in a moment. In this first clip, I can't believe this. He's asked about Josh Shapiro, and he gives such a generic response. If you listen closely, you might notice he has no idea who Josh Shapiro is. Of course, the governor of Pennsylvania, who was the final alternative to Tim Walz in Vice President Kamala Harris's choice for running mate. Listen carefully. I don't believe Trump knows who he's being asked about.
You're now leading with Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not picking Josh Shapiro as her VP?
Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think.
Notice he doesn't say Pennsylvania. He doesn't say governor. He doesn't say who was damaged by Josh Shapiro. I do not believe he knows who Shapiro is.
He would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at.
All right. So anyway, now he gets off of it. I don't think he knows who Josh Shapiro is. Hey, David, what do you think about the possibility of, King Jumanji being passed over as a candidate? Jumanji's terrible, has damaged so many people, not popular with anyone, and just so many better choices than Jumanji. He has no clue who he is being asked about. Moments later, I'm sorry, this is so disgusting. Trump appears to shoot a tonsil stone out of his mouth or some extremely thick white saliva. This is the strangest stuff. We're playing the video zoomed in here. Foreign matter just coming out of this guy's mouth, and potentially the tonsil stone that's been giving him that absolutely terrible breath. Trump struggling to hear the questions throughout the press briefing.
President, you commit to your White House having daily press briefings?
Who?
In your White House doing daily press briefings, you commit to that?
Would you repeat that, please?
Your White House.
No, you. Would you repeat her, what she said? You have to speak up. This room is very
When you're
louder.
elected, will you commit to your White House doing daily press briefings?
Do you hear her?
Will you commit to doing daily press briefings if you're elected?
Daily press briefing? Why would I do that?
Oh, man. I mean, you couldn't script a more deranged press conference than this. The topic of the January 6th riots came up, and Trump took it as an opportunity, I guess, to court black voters by saying he got better crowds at the riot than Martin Luther King got.
Never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when
Right.
you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington.
And as you can imagine, black voters just flocking to Trump after they heard this. As a historical note, historians say the March on Washington had about 250,000 or more attendees, and the Associated Press estimates that the Trump pre-riot rally speech had about 10,000 attendees. We have another one of these examples as we try to deduce what Trump's confusion is about asylum. And I'm increasingly convinced that Trump thinks seeking asylum is the same thing as coming from an insane asylum, also known as a psychiatric hospital. I've been trying to figure it out for a while, and I think that's the confusion Trump is experiencing.
Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? It's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America.
So I know that there is a lot of skepticism that Trump is confusing asylum-seeking immigrants and insane asylums. And I was skeptical at the beginning, too. But the more he talks about this, the more I think it's a very real possibility. On the topic of when he said Kamala Harris used to be Indian but became black, he was asked about it. And he said, actually, you have to ask her about it.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to a historically black college. How is she only recently deciding to be black?
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her. And I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really.
Genius. The fact that Kamala Harris is biracial is disrespectful to both races. When she was born, she implicitly disrespected her black half by being half Indian, and she disrespected her Indian half by being half black. You know, as many of you know, I am Hispanic and Jewish, and notoriously, Argentinians are furious that I'm Jewish. And Jews are furious that I'm Argentinian. God help this country if he becomes president again. Wow. Trump asked, then we went on to anatomy. Trump asked about his recovery from the assassination attempt. He wrongly, it appears wrongly, he wrongly says he was hit in the earlobe. He wasn't hit in the earlobe, but he says he was.
Pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Yeah. He's touching, of course, the top of the ear. That's not the lobe. It's just not, I know that there's confusion about what sorts of statements are statements of fact and what's opinion. They have a lot of opinions about climate change and about COVID, and the opinions depart from facts. I guess maybe they believe that it's a matter of opinion, whether the earlobe is at the top of the ear or at the bottom of the ear. But he was not, from everything we saw, again, unless they've been lying all along, there was no indication he got hit in the earlobe. Now, the only real bit of news from this press conference was that Trump claimed that he is tentatively on board with 3 presidential debates against Kamala Harris, which sounds awesome.
I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th.
Wow.
So we have those 3 dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily, I think it'll be very easy.
So that's great. And I say, do the 3 debates. Let's do the competing cognitive tests between Trump and Kamala Harris. Let's do it all. And then finally, Trump asked about his very light campaign schedule, and he simultaneously answers by saying, I'm not campaigning because I'm winning by so much, and also I'm campaigning a lot. It's sort of like a pick your own adventure. If you want to go with I'm not campaigning, here's why I'm justified in not campaigning. And also you're lying and I'm campaigning plenty.
You have not had a public campaign event for nearly a week now. Tomorrow you'll be in Montana, which is not a swing state. Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this race seriously, particularly at a time where there is enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning this week?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones.
Yeah. How dare you suggest I'm not campaigning? I am absolutely campaigning all the time in all these different ways. And by the way, of course I'm not campaigning. I'm leading by so much. Why on earth should I campaign? A disastrous press conference leading to questions again. Can this guy even make it to November? And it was so rambling and so deranged that networks started cutting away. Let's talk about that next. Many of us have bad habits we want to kick. Finding motivation can be hard, especially when life gets heavy and the bad habit seems to be what's keeping you sane. Thankfully, Fume is here to help you prioritize your health in a way that will not disrupt your daily life. Introducing Fume's award-winning flavored air device that is quickly becoming the leading alternative to smoking and to vaping. The point of Fume is to satisfy the hand-to-mouth fixation of some of these bad habits, which makes healthy change feel even easier. The Fume device is sleek, it's sophisticated, you can fidget with it. There is no nicotine here, only natural ingredients like plant extracts and oils. There's no electronics, there's no vapor. There is an amazing selection of flavors from the popular crisp mint to the adventurous black licorice and cinnamon hearts. Fume is delicious, it's subtle, you can keep using it without feeling overwhelmed. So start your journey today. Go to tryfume.com and use the code PACMAN to get a free gift with your Journey Pack, which includes a Fume device, 3 core flavors of your choice, and a cleaning kit. If you are struggling to get rid of that bad habit, try Fume. The link is in the description.